afternoon, nasties. Welcome to EST Afternoons here on Edmonton Sports Talk. It's Joaquin, Gage, Hernan Salas, Zach Gubish with you as life returns to normal. Kids back in school, everybody back at work, Gager. Feels good to be back. We were talking just before the show, and I said, I'm just glad I'm happy to be back to normal, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I hate the New Year's should never land on a Wednesday.
No.
That's terrible. Because then it screws you. Because you get the one day off in the middle of the week. I remember, have you ever worked at a job where you had one day off?
Yeah.
That sucks.
Furniture business.
Yeah. It didn't always land on a weekend, right? So it was during the week, or maybe it was a weekend. But just having the one day, I would rather just blow through it.
I remember this is my 20s. I partied hard on New Year's. The next day I was sore hurting, and then I had to go to work the next day, and it was even worse. It's funny. I stopped by the store to go to work, and I picked up Tylenol, Gatorade. The guy must have been laughing at me at the till because I was just picking up everything you need for a hangover, and I was just suffering. I was like, never again.
Isn't that the worst? Try being a slinger of the RG6 and setting up a set-top box behind a old bungalow with a big, massive picture window with the sun beating down on you as you're hunched behind this cat-hair infested, gross place and having too many drinks the night before. Oh, that was gross. I remember. I think I was dry heaving behind this guy's couch one time, and he was like, "You all right?" I go, "I'll make it."
What is your worst hangover New Year's story? That you had to go to work on the 2nd, I guess. Oh, there's many. I'm sure there's a lot of our nasties that have been through that as well. You want to watch us? Hit us up on the EST YouTube channel or on the Nasty Chat. Hit that thumbs up. We took it easy on the thumbs up during the holidays because we understood people were probably not tuning in as much, doing different things, maybe vacations, all that, family. But 100 is going to be the standard now, Gage. We can't force it, but hopefully we can get 100.
Yeah,
hopefully we can get to 100. You want to listen to us, of course, iHeart, TuneIn, radio apps, or EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Hit us up on the River Cree inbox, 780-218-9999. The afternoon inbox is presented by the River Cree Resort and Casino. Canadian musician Alan Doyle and comedian Ben Bankas coming to the River Cree in January. For details on tickets, visit www.rivercreeresort.com. I'm wearing my contacts today, and I'm having struggles reading my phone and paper.
You tromboning a little bit there?
It's weird, man. It's as I gotten older, now I gotta my phone's out here when I have my contacts.
Yeah.
I just
How
had
big
to
is the font on that thing?
It's funny. So when I'm reading my,
are you worried about satellites stealing your information because it's so big on your phone?
When I'm reading my ebook now, I'm reading the new Adrian New ebook, and so I had my contacts on one day, and I was here. So I was like, I'll read in the intermissions and stuff. I had to put the font that big. It was 4 sentences per page because with my contacts, I can't read it.
Really?
I can't, man. It's weird.
You need the progressive contacts.
Yeah, well, they gave me. So I'm testing these, and I got another ones which are, like you said, so I got to try those. So baby steps, I guess. But fun show coming up, of course. The Edmonton Oilers rolling 3 straight wins. They picked up a win on Saturday night, 4-2 over the Kraken. Of course, the U.S. champs and the World Juniors. We'll get to it. What a fun overtime! I love that format. And the playoffs are set in the NFL. Also, Black Monday. One more coach today. Losing his job as the Patriots wasted no time yesterday, fired him right away, costing them. He wins the game, and he costs them the first overall pick, which is kind of funny, and then he just gets tossed away right away following the game. At 1:40, David Pagnotta from the 4th period would join us. We'll go around the NHL and talk some World Juniors, and at 2:20, our good buddy Zig Fracassi from Sirius XM NFL, as we'll talk coaches that are no longer employed, who's coming in, and we'll also look ahead to the playoff matchups. A lot of intriguing ones, a lot of good games yesterday. So a fun show for sure. Gager, you're with us on Friday. We talked about was it the Anaheim? No. What game was Friday? I can't even remember now.
No. You don't even know. It was the Ducks.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Anaheim. Yeah. So Saturday's game, you didn't join us for pre or post, but I thought the Oilers dominated that game up until the blunder on the power play. Oh, wasn't on the power. Yeah, shorthanded. Connor Brown gives the pass to Evan Bouchard. He fumbles it up. And I thought up until that point, the Oilers were all over them. But again, I had no fear, even at 3-2. I thought the Oilers were locked in. Pickard wasn't really tested, but the Oilers looked really good and got some goals from some unlikely sources. And Jeff Skinner with an absolute beauty.
Yeah.
And Podkolzin. Actually, all 3 goals, Gage, were beautiful.
So it was Podkolzin, then Skinner.
Yeah.
And then
Nuge.
And then Nuge. Yeah, I like the little bump back to Nuge there. And then Leon got the legs pumping. Kind of a misfunction at the junction there and was able to pass. I thought he was going to drop it to Podkolzin there for a second there. I thought, well, he'd skate across and drop this. No, you know what? It's funny because I didn't want to bombard you with texts during the game. I think I mentioned I said the game was kind of I wasn't too enthused with it because it just looked like
you weren't entertained.
No, I was not because the Kraken like that old egg commercial, they weren't getting Kraken at all. But then I came to and then I knew what I was talking about because everything that I was saying, and I was about to send you the text with the Bouchard icing.
Yeah.
And just go, what? And then you brought it up, so I knew I was on the right path. But look.
It took a lot of people was like, stupid Bouchard.
Yeah. It's so funny. I go, no, I won't say that. I won't get them too fired up. But, the thing about the NHL, like not all teams are the same, right? They're all constructed a little bit different, and it's the job of the coaching staff to figure out how to best develop a game plan or a strategies throughout the game to be successful. And the Oilers are blessed with a lot of really good talent.
Yes.
So they can their ability to generate chances is some of the best in the league just because of their personnel. A lot of teams can't do that. Mm-hmm. When I watched the Kraken and everyone was a little bit listening to the post-game show, I was like, why are people so upset? Because the Oilers were essentially just in a 3-round fight, 1-2 rounds, and kind of, I would say, draw the third. But when I'm watching the Kraken, they're a counter-punching team. I'm not saying they're Floyd Mayweather or anything like that, but they're kind of weighted, like they're not that they'll try to generate chances, but they just don't have the personnel that can on a regular basis, right? So their strength is capitalizing on mistakes from the other team, which they can maybe put them in poor positions. And that's the strength of a lot of teams. So, and I look at the first goal, backhand, no-look pass at the blue line. That's just asking to be benched with that play. And then the second goal, I know Tommy's a goalie hater now. I don't know why he's so mad at goalies, but
he didn't like it.
Yeah, I know, but and I understand, and I can understand why Tommy doesn't like it. Not because he doesn't like goalies, but he was just like, why didn't he do more? And sometimes as a goalie, there's a tendency, especially in one of those broken plays when the shots, like guy takes a slap shot, the stick breaks, the puck's still coming at you, but it's kind of wobbly.
It's a changeup.
Yeah, and you want to get that puck away from you as much as possible. It's very difficult to just let the puck come to you at that point and cover it up because it's bouncing and things. You're thinking, you know what? I'm just going to bunt this down the first baseline and sort things out. And unfortunately for Calvin Pickard, Jaden Schwartz makes a great play, comes in kind of backdoor. And I think you mentioned it was a great shot. Like he put that far post and in. Like
he shoots left.
Yeah, like
so
he had to turn all the way around and do that, and there wasn't much room. That was a very high skilled goal. And that's with Pickard putting it in a tough position. But yeah, you probably would have liked him to envelop that puck a little bit more and just take the rebound. But I understand how he was feeling because sometimes you get like that as a goalie. The puck's sitting there and you just get this thing out of here and let's straighten it out. But saying that, after me complaining about the game to you, I felt it was a really good game for the Edmonton Oilers just because they played to their style. And like you, obviously, you get a little bit of juice from the goals. That is it Jeremy Stevenson? Chandler Stevenson. That guy's a whale of a player, man.
He only has, 5 goals?
It seems like every time I watch him, he does something like that, though he just snipes.
I think he's overpaid.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he was fortunate. Didn't he play with, who'd he play with? Played on the Knights goal top line with Eichel and Stone. So, I mean, but he's a good complementary player.
Oh, yeah. Lines today from Boston, RNH with McDavid and Brown, Podkolzin with Draisaitl and Arvidsson. Skinner gets the bump up with Hyman and Henrique, which I like.
I like that.
And Perry returns to the lineup with Janmark and Kapanen. And let me be clear, it wasn't the blunder. It was the because Perry Kapanen, no look pass on the power play.
Don't worry, his dad still felt bad about that too.
Kapanen with the bad play that led to the shorthanded goal. That's on me. Sorry, I said Bouchard. I just so used to being hard on Bouchard. And then Ryan's out. Defense remains the same. I want to ask you this. Draisaitl's on an absolute heater. He tied his career high for a point streak at 14. We asked it on the pregame show. Do you think once this road trip's done, which has 3 more games, he's still got the point streak going, Gager?
Okay, let's
Boston.
He's
Pittsburgh.
Usually pretty good in Boston.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, he'll feast.
And Blackhawks.
Yeah, he's
yeah.
Oh, he's too good right now, man. Yeah. I mean, it's going to end at some point. He'll probably have a few games where he doesn't get a point, and everyone's going to say, "What happened to you?" But he is, again, it's amazing that he is the most noticeable player on the ice for so long. I would say, last 5 games, he's been actually more noticeable than McDavid.
Yeah,
and not that McDavid, he's had some moments too. Not saying that, but Draisaitl's just been all world.
He's been awesome. Absolutely awesome. And I do want to get to this. Our fearless leader returned, Dustin Neal's. Great to see the big guy again.
Yeah.
It feels like it's been another month that we were without him. But he said he had a great time with the family because he's usually at the Spangler. So very happy for him. Great to see him. Great to have him back. But he had a poll question today of what surprised you more, that Connor Brown sits 4th in 5-on-5 points, or that Evan Bouchard does not have a power play goal, Gager. Like, that blew my mind. I didn't even think of that all year.
Really?
Yes.
Huh. Wow, that's a deep dive into stats there. Yeah, because usually you see him, because how many goals does he have at the moment?
Let me look.
He's got a few, I know.
A lot of Oilers defensemen have goals.
And the book's out on it.
He has 7.
Okay, so teams are when they put their PK together, it's to get in the shooting lanes with Bouchard there. And maybe it's a little bit more he's trying to pick corners too much. I felt last year sometimes he was just, as long as there was a lane, he was firing it through, and sometimes it was just going in. Maybe it's a little bit trying too hard. But look, that was a key focus last year on the power play. Even if when he got the puck through, there was a scramble, and usually the puck retrieval, the Edmonton Oilers got the puck back and got a great other chance or scored. So teams are taking it away. And good, I don't know. It still seems like he's shooting the puck a lot of shin pads, though.
Yeah.
He's really testing he's a quality control for Jofa right now with those shin pads. But
all this means is the AAV. Well, according to, I was talking to Tommy about it, he's hearing that he wants 10, 11 mil. I don't know how you can pay him.
No.
Seriously. And you don't want to lose him either, because when he's on, and he's one of the best. But 10, 11 mil, man.
No, you can't.
There's
no
agree.
way. There's absolutely no way that he can command that much money, because although I think he's an important piece, I think you can replace that with someone else on that power play. If he was the he's the focal point on that power play.
No.
He's a good distributor of the puck and stuff, and he's got a great shot. But there's a lot of guys that can quarterback that power play.
And I'd rather pay 10, 11 for a legit number 1. Because he's not. I don't care what anyone says.
No.
He can be a good number 2, solid number 3, sure.
You can't. To be a true number 1, either you're playing the power play, but you're also out there last 2 minutes up a goal at the end of the game. And it's too much of a liability with Bouchard out there right now.
Yeah.
He was at that point at the end of the year. So there is something that it is there, but
and we're hoping he gets better this season. I mean, we're into January, and he's still lacking a lot of what we saw in the playoffs last year. It might turn around, guys, but I'm saying this might be it's tough to say it's a positive because the team needs him to be better defensively, Gager, and not take so many risks, but he's an offensive defenseman, so you got to live with that. But the AAV should, he can't come in next year. Let's just say he continues to struggle. Let's just say, guys, I'm just saying, Oilers are bounced from the playoffs, say second round. This guy can't go and demanding 10. No, I'm just saying, speculating, right? Just looking ahead, let's just say that's what happens. This guy can't go and demanding 10, 11 mil off one good year. You can't. I'm sorry.
No.
That's not going to happen.
No, you can't. Well, he's an RFA. Is he susceptible to an offer sheet from some team, do you think?
Maybe.
Would someone else do that?
I mean, if they offer a sheet at 11, I'd be like, good written.
Yeah, I'll take. Well, at that point, I think it's 5 first-round picks or something, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, thanks.
Thanks.
We'll take the picks and go get somebody, right?
Hell yeah. Van Owen says, I like those lines. Brownie deserves a bump in the lineup. Skinner less so, but he's been playing better recently. Sure. Guy in a hot dog suit says, crazy to think Draisaitl is currently the best Oiler with a healthy McDavid in the lineup.
I know.
That's good.
It's really good.
Bone says Tommy doesn't like goalies because they get all the chicks.
Probably.
And then this one from Coach Mike's a question for you, Gager. Going back to the Seattle game, he says, what's your opinion on Grubauer? Is he a legit starter in the NHL? And Tommy and I were talking on Saturday night, too. We're like, there was such a huge upside with this guy when he left Colorado, but I think he's kind of flattened out, and he's not an elite goaltender.
What would you say is an elite goaltender, though? This guy plays...
He's not a guy that steals your games.
See, you're watching... do you ever just watch this Kraken, though?
No, but...
Because I've watched a few games that he's been a part of, and he's been phenomenal. The Oilers have feasted on him for a while. When they first went to Seattle, I distinctly remember he got chased from the net every single time.
He hasn't had a save percentage in the last 3 seasons over 9.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's and this year he's 3.47 Gager goals against, 8.79. And this is my point, is that Joey Dacord's pushing him. Joey Dacord might become the starter. And you love Joey Dacord.
I really like Joey Dacord. He's played well against the Oilers too. Just looking at those stats. Yeah, those aren't
flattering.
Those aren't flattering at all. But I've seen him play great. You know what? The biggest question mark to me was always when he left Colorado and they were on the cusp.
Yeah.
Essentially, it would be like Stu Skinner going to whatever. Going anywhere after last season, you know, because for a difference of I want to say only a couple 100,000.
Yeah. And
he would have a Stanley Cup ring. He's good enough in that respect, I think at that point he was. But you've pointed it out, buddy. That's I didn't really do a deep dive into his stats, but those are very pedestrian for a guy that Seattle kind of went after to go get.
And I will say he was really good after the 3-0 goal. He kept it at bay. Yeah. He was good in that game.
One save on Leon, great pass. That's a really good save. The problem, I just kind of looked right now too, is he's 33 years old, man.
Yeah.
When I stand by it, I think the real sweet spot for goaltenders where they're at their best, especially if they've had a few seasons prior in the NHL, is between the ages of 27 and 31. They're just you're mature physically. You're in the best shape of your life.
Yeah.
You know what it takes. You've seen so much at that point. The game's you're right in the pocket at that point. But all of a sudden things get a little bit slower. You're telling your feet to move. I love that. Remember that I hate to give him credit for this, but that Will Smith movie with as Ali, when he comes back and he's talking to himself in his head, he's like, "Come on, feet, and then Joe Fraser like knocks him out, but he's like, your mind is there, but you just can't. Your body just doesn't do what it did a year or two prior.
Yeah. I think that happens to everybody. We'll end the first segment with this. Jamie says, it's time for reading glasses, Hernan. It just happens. I know.
We're talking about age.
I got something to talk about age, too. A bit of a rant on one thing and then another thing when you've noticed you've become something, Gager, at a certain age, and you're like, oh, boy, that's not a good sign. But lots of fun to be had on the show. We'll continue the Oilers talk, World Juniors, NFL. Dave Pagnotta coming up at 1:40, Zig Fracassi at 2:20. And keep sending in your messages to the River Cree inbox at 780-218-9999 or hit us up on the Nasty Chat. More sports on the way here on EST Afternoons. But first up, Zach with a sports update.
Four games fill out the NHL schedule, including the Canucks battling the Canadiens, Florida visiting Colorado, and the Kraken facing the Devils, while out east the Rangers have claimed Arthur Kaliev off waivers from the Kings. Down south, head coach Doug Peterson has been fired by the Jags. Cincinnati bench boss Lou Anarumo has been let go, while the Seahawks have laid off offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb. Elsewhere, Christian Watson of the Packers tore his ACL yesterday in a non-contact play against the Bears and will miss the entire postseason. On the court, the Toronto Raptors play the Milwaukee Bucks with 9 games around the association. This sports update is brought to you by the Capital Care Foundation. Financial support deeply affects residents at Capital Care, and whether it's a one-time donation or monthly contribution, every penny counts. Donate today at Capital Care Foundation. Find them online at capitalcarefoundation.net. More with Hernan Salas and Joaquin Gage on the other side of the break. Here on EST Afternoons, I'm Zachary Kubish, and you're up to date.
You want the heavy hitters on your team, both on and off the ice. If you've been injured in a car accident, call the heavy hitters of Injury Law. James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers. With over 200 years of combined injury law experience, their precedent-setting lawyers are ready to help. Locally owned and proud Edmonton Oilers fans, James H. Brown and Associates wants to support you with their unrivaled experience, unrivaled results, and unrivaled commitment. When accidents happen, head to jameshbrown.com.
Edmonton Sports Talk delivers a mass audience of key, influential customers to your business, all while you associate your company brand with the biggest names, the hottest sports news, and teams from every league around the globe. It's where fans go to get their sports fix and where our partners find the most loyal consumers. Contact us today and see how our team on Edmonton Sports Talk can score the biggest goals for your business. With various advertising options available, email business@edmontonsportstalk.com or head to our website, edmontonsportstalk.com. Since 1952, William Huff has been the heartbeat of Edmonton's advertising world. From humble beginnings to a citywide powerhouse, we've been the go-to for signage from print to design and installation. Partnering with Edmonton's top sports franchises and major events, we've helped shape the city's global reputation. Our secret, unmatched customer service, decades of experience, and a passion for excellence we call the William Huff Advantage. Visit us online at williamhuff.com.
With the hopes that I will find what I'm searching for, but the question is
where. 126, welcome back to EST Afternoons. Joaquin Gage, the goalie. Zach Kubish, the producer. Hernan Salas, the jabroni. All in the house here on this wonderful Monday as we're back to normal. Holidays are over. Let's go. Busy month for the Edmonton Oilers. Should be getting some Elks news this month. A CFL schedule would be nice, Gager. I'm surprised it's taken this long.
Oh, so sometimes surprises are good. I don't mind.
46 thumbs up already. If we don't hit 100, it's just...
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. So let's keep going. If you haven't hammered the thumbs up, please do so. And if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button as well. As Jay did bring in pickled herrings, a jar. So I talked to Dusty, and Dusty said he did check at midnight, and they were about 80, I think he said, short. So
Surprise.
So why does he have to eat it?
But then he said it jumped up and then got taken away. So So then it's kind of weird. There was more and then there was less. I think it's because they heard Dusty wasn't going to do it, so people removed their subscriptions. So he's got to do it now.
Hit us up on the River Korean box, 780-218-9999, as we're coming to you live from the lovely William Huff Studios here in the west end of the city. And hit us up on the Nasty Chat as well. Did you watch the gold medal game?
No.
I'll be honest, I only tuned in for overtime.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, it was great. I mean,
are you on board with 3-on-3?
No,
okay.
Not in that situation. I hated it. I think you got to go. I understand international hockey, but to go to the shootout, it ruins the game. This dumb how the bronze medal decided by a shootout, right?
14 rounds.
Stop it.
I didn't mind the 3-on. It was entertaining. I mean, the Petteri Rimpinen was awesome in overtime.
Yeah.
But the USA had the puck almost the whole OT.
I know.
And they have such talented players. And then Teddy Stiga scores the OT winner on a beautiful sauce pass to send him in all alone. Well, I guess we can't really break it down if you didn't watch the game. Gage.
No, I just watched. I was.
You're busy. That's fair. I'll be honest.
I hate to say it, but I'm World Junior. I had fatigue.
Yeah.
And this is awful for me to say, but I didn't want to watch the Americans win.
Oh, that's fair. Hey,
I thought they were going to win, and I don't like the celebrations. I think it's just classless to do it, and it was kind of like rubbing Canadians' noses in it. I believe next year it's in Minnesota.
Yeah.
So time for a little Chunga's revenge from who knows? We know it's not going to be the Swedes, that's for sure. But maybe coming back, I mean, there's going to be so much more attention on it this year just because of losing last year.
Yeah.
The controversy of the roster selection this year. There's going to be a lot of eyes on this World Junior team going next year. Which what we thought they should do right now is name their coach, and that's his job.
I was watching the NFL game, and I saw on Twitter that they were going to overtime. So I said, and then I didn't know it's 3-on-3, to be honest. And I was like, I gotta watch. It's going to be chaos, and it was great. So kudos to the U.S. back-to-back champs for the first time in their history. They're at the World Juniors. Yeah, Canada. That group next year, I think, is going to have Sweden, Canada, and I think it's the Finns. It's going to be a tough one because, of course, Canada didn't have a really, really good showing at the good old World Juniors. But there's a video on X. I think it's from the KHL. A cell phone fell on the ice. So a player had it tucked into his pants. And the best part is the ref picks up the phone, and when they blow the whistle when the play dies down, he goes to the bench and no one wants to take credit. Like the guy with the phone was just playing stupid. He's looking around and he just takes it. Like if you're the coach of that player, you're getting one of these upside the head. Like listen, I'm attached to my phone, and I think a lot of us are, but to have it in your equipment in the middle of a professional hockey game, it's too much, man.
Was it Kuznetsov? Was it his team? Because I wouldn't put it past him to have it in his pants, score a goal, and then pull it out and go on the phone for a little bit.
No, it was funny though, because I was just because he didn't want to take credit, like he didn't want to show that it was his on the bench, so he's kind of looking around and he kind of like with shame all over his face.
You know, I would say, was he at home or was he on the road?
I don't know. Because
I'm just trying to think of how that could happen. But usually, even in Russia, where you get dressed and where you put your equipment on is two completely different things. But I see guys with their cell phones in their lockers, like right away. Like they'll go in and they go right to their phone after. I'm just like, ugh, gross.
I worked in the CFL and I saw it in other rooms too, because you kind of walk by them and like a lot of players are like on their phone after warm up or even when they're getting ready. Yeah, they're checking their phone and a lot of guys call their wives or talk to their kids right before they go out, like FaceTime, and I think it's the norm now. But once coach comes in to address, you better put that stuff away. Yeah.
Oh, I can't imagine. It'd be like having a Game Boy back in the day and playing that. Coach would go nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I remember Scott Fraser, old Oiler, like way back in the day. He played with the Oilers for a bit. Anyway, he was one of those guys that was a really talented hockey player, really good, but just didn't his. Is
he the one that had one good year and went to the Rangers?
Yeah, and signed a big ticket. He his hockey motivator didn't function that well. But rumor has it, well, I know this happened, because he had Stefan Bordelot was his coach in Fredericton, because he was with Montreal's team before. And he was one of these guys that could put his hockey gear on like in 2 minutes. Oh, really? Yeah, there's just some guys you look over and they got nothing on, you're like, and then all of a sudden you look back and they got everything on. Like he was one of those guys. But him and another guy, I want to say it was Chris Murray, who was a tough guy at the time. They had a deal where try to have the worst bedhead coming into the game. And it just drove Bordelot crazy, I guess, because they looked like they just woke up. Their hair was on the side of their face. And Fraze would just sit there because he was super smart, too. Yeah. And he would just be doing crossword puzzles, just sitting there in his stall doing crossword puzzles, and drove the coach nuts. And then he would not be ready. The coach would talking, and he'd be ready by the time warm-up came on. And he'd go out and score a couple goals. And the coach even hated that more.
So I'm saying, like, in the CFL, it's more before the game. Because at halftime, you're with your position coaches doing adjustments and stuff.
You hope.
Yeah. So Big Uke says he did say in an interview after the game, it fell into the back of his pants and he didn't feel it.
Yeah.
He keeps it on a shelf with his elbow pads and bumped it, grabbing them. Still an embarrassing moment.
That's why I say usually, because that's why I said if he's home or away. Because if you're home, you're putting your stuff.
You have a routine. It
should be in the cloakroom or whatever, where you get changed. But if it's in his stall, yeah, that's.
Well, that's different too, because in the NHL you have your room where you put your suit.
Yeah.
Well, in the CFL you put your clothes where you're logged. It's just
right.
one.
Okay. Yeah. So there was always cloakrooms in the NHL.
Yeah. That's cool though. Very cool. Yeah. So we're going to continue the hockey and the NFL talk. A lot of NFL in the second hour, but remember early on in the start of EST afternoons, I complained about being at the supermarket, about how the aisles can get busy.
Oh yeah.
So there again yesterday, Gage, and like I don't know if society's going this way, but no one talks anymore.
Oh,
and like if you need to get by or anything like that, just say excuse me, sir. Talk. Like yesterday, there's 3 of us, and they're all looking at me, and I'm like, what? Like, do you need me to move? Like, it's just, I don't know. Maybe it's me getting old.
Yeah.
But, like, man, the supermarket's driving me crazy because no one talks. Even an employee of Walmart was coming with, they had their pallet, they had stuff they were restocking. Didn't even say, excuse me, almost ran me over. No one talks anymore. And the other part of me getting old, I realized I've become the dumb guy of the company. When I produce and I don't know why certain things are going certain ways, I can't figure anything out anymore.
Was it the Echo? Did you figure
everything? Yeah. I couldn't get the folder open to put up the podcast. Like I've realized that, like certain point in your life, it just catches up to you.
Learn new tricks.
And now, like, my solution is call Maddie.
That's mine.
I can't fix anything. I've realized I've become that guy in the company where when I'm not around, you guys are like, man, that Hernan's something else.
You're still fresh, though. That's the thing, right? You're still getting into it.
Long.
That's just the way I feel.
It's just a different process, man. You got it. I mean, I'm
I
slow.
look at Tommy. Tommy
learning.
looks at me, and I'm like, I don't know what to do right
now.
The echo's driving me crazy.
Well, Maddie was saying, I want everyone to come in to learn everything. And I was like, I don't want to do
that. You're like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I didn't sign up for that.
I wanted to make sure I can yell at somebody for something else that I know I have no business yelling at them for.
I've been saying it for months now. If these guys were my buddies, I would have been fired by now. They would have told me to go home. Yeah, you're terrible at producing. Terrible. So Hernan's getting old, guys. Just be patient with him, please. Don't mock him. Because on the pre and the post, when I make a mistake, they're ruthless. They come after me.
Oh, do they?
Oh, yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. No chill, like the kids say.
No
chill. Another thing in the NHL, Gager. Thank you for listening to my rants there. Montreal Canadiens are 2 points out of a playoff spot. When did this happen?
I have no clue.
Like, seriously.
Well, this is the issue I have sometimes with this. Is this team's been, basically a sturgeon for a while, just a bottom feeder. And you go in there and you go, we're playing the Canadiens again. They're all right and they're feisty, but as long as we play well, we should beat these guys. And you know what? It's funny because at the beginning of the year, you go, well, you know what? With Laine now, they should be good. And then Laine all of a sudden comes back, provides a little bit of a punch scoring-wise. He's the first pure goal scorer they've had in decades.
Oh, yeah.
So, and now you're like, this is... You look at them, the stuff that they've put in place so far. I'm just trying to find the goalie that played. I watched the end of the game. It was 1-1 against. God, shoot me! I forget who it was, but anyway, he was phenomenal. He was just great. Won it for them in the shootout. Sorry, I'm just grabbing his name here. Dobis. I'm not sure, but his stats are phenomenal right now. Really good goaltender. 0.48 goals against. A shutout. I mean, he's only played 2, but look, it's 982 save percentage. He's just the way he's playing right now. Obviously, a very confident young goaltender. But his movement's perfect. He looks. I was like, geez, he looks like Carey Price. And look, I'm not saying he's Carey Price, but the way he was moving around in net, it was effortless, and there was nothing to shoot at.
And because of him, now a small group of Oilers fans want Olivier Rodrigue to be the Oilers #1. So, Caster 1990 says, Hernan, to quote Grandpa Simpson, the gift of getting old is to find fault in others. Yes, I agree. My pet peeve is store staff never say thank you after you made a purchase. I'm just tired of people not talking. Just say, excuse me, sir, or hey, can you move, or anything. Don't just stare. Portions of this hour brought to you by the Canadian Brew House. Host your team or league fundraiser at the Canadian Brew House for a chance to win $2,500. With tons of options to choose from, the Canadian Brew House can help you raise funds for your crew. Details in store or online at thecanadianbrewhouse.com. 51 thumbs up, guys. Let's get to 100. We're off to a great start. If we don't hit 100, it's a damn shame because we're only 40 minutes in and we're already halfway there, more than halfway there. But coming up next, we're going to go around the NHL with Dave Pagnotta from the fourth period here on EST Afternoons. It's Joaquin, Gage. It's Hernan Salas live from the William Huff Studios. And here with your sports update is Zach.
The Caps and Sabres kick off the night on a 4-game NHL slate with Arthur Kaliyev of the Kings being claimed off waivers from the Rangers. In the NFL, Lou Anarumo has been fired by the Bengals. The Seahawks have let go offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb, while Doug Peterson has been relieved of his head coaching duties with the Jags. Basketball sees 9 games with the Raps battling the Bucks, while Kyrie Irving of the Mavericks is out 1 to 2 weeks with a bulging disc in his back, seeing Dallas in action tonight against the Grizzlies. David Pagnotta joins EST Afternoons on the other side of the break. I'm Zachary Kubish for your sports update
Make a fresh start in the new year with Sentinel Storage. With convenient locations near you, Sentinel Storage is here to help you make space for everything 2024 holds. Sentinel Storage. Shop Canadian, store Canadian. Try 4 weeks free. Visit sentinelstorage.ca.
Hi there. If you're like me, you like to picture yourself in luxury, even though there's absolutely no way you could afford it. And if you can, well, even better. Thankfully, I picture myself in something that is luxury, but still absolutely affordable, like the all-new Mazda CX-90 from Park Mazda. With the new luxury features like facial recognition settings and quilted detail Napa leather seating, I can pretend to be comfortable with all of my proper settings activated without even touching a button, thanks to Mitch Lewicki and the great staff at Park Mazda. I like to picture Mitch Lewicki in a tuxedo t-shirt because it says, like, he wants to be formal, but he's also here to party too.
Park Mazda, your dealer for life in Sherwood Park off Y Road Park.
Your home for live music and great performances is the River Cree Resort and Casino.
When I'm up, I can't get down, can't get down, can't get level.
Don't miss Canadian singer-songwriter Alan Doyle as he brings the East to the West, January 17th.
I said, hey, it's just an ordinary day, and it's on your state of mind.
Get your tickets at River Cree Resort and Casino. River Cree Resort and Casino. Excitement, bet on it.
Book your holiday party at the CBH today. The Canadian Brewhouse is your ultimate destination for events, parties, fundraisers, and more. 'Tis the season to celebrate. Visit and book now in-store or at thecanadianbrewhouse.com.
Welcome back to EST Afternoons here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Keep hitting up the nasty chat. Text us on the River Cree inbox at 780-218-9999. We're going to go around the NHL with Dave Pagnotta from the fourth period. Dave, how you doing, man?
I'm good, boys. How's everything?
Kent?
Where am I?
Oh, there. Well, we'll find you. We'll find you.
There we go.
Doing excellent, Dave. Interesting weekend in the NHL for sure. Let's start here in Edmonton. Leon Draisaitl's on a 14-point streak here, game streak. The Oilers are on a 3-game win streak. They're in Boston tomorrow. When you look at Leon Draisaitl, do you have him in your heart consideration right now, David?
If he's not in someone's heart consideration, you're not watching hockey.
Yeah,
and you need a little smack across the face. He's been fantastic. He's been tremendous. Connor's Connor, obviously, but even his season hasn't. Even though he's picked it up late, his season overall hasn't been what we're accustomed to. But Leon has really stepped up. This season going back to how he did a number of years ago, and without question, part of that mix as well. I'm fortunate enough to get a vote. As of now, he's definitely on my ballot.
Dave, what I've noticed, and I think a lot of people around here, is a guy obviously has his eye on the Oilers and things, but one of the things that they've said about these two guys is, it looks like they're having fun. Like there's a lot more smiles after goals. Doesn't look like someone ran over their dog after they scored a highlight reel goal, and it's exhausting being me. But is that a sign of maturity, and does that bode well for these Edmonton Oilers going into kind of the game 83 is a lot closer than it was a few months ago?
Yeah. It's not that the pressure's off, but having gone through a run, being a win away, couple goals away from a championship, you approach things a little bit differently. You don't necessarily have to be as, let's say, uptight on a game-by-game basis as you perhaps may have been in the past. You can have a little bit more fun with things. While yes, it's obviously this is their job, their goal, and their primary objective is to win a championship. And, that comes with a lot of pressure, but to be going out there, to be enjoying yourself, not to say that they hadn't before by any stretch, but just the demeanor is obviously different. And the other takeaway from that is the confidence for me seems to be different. And when you couple those two, at the halfway point in the season, that leads typically to a good second half, an impressive second half. It's already been, they've 14-3-1 in their last 18. Second in the league in points percentage within that span. They're going to continue to be on an incline here. The tough part, if anything, right now is the team that has the top record in that span is Vegas, and the team right behind them is LA. So the Pacific is ridiculously tough, certainly. But to see these guys continuing to perform and to do it in not nonchalant by any stretch, right? But just in a professional way that is now the fun is seeping in. That goes to show that these guys are in the right headspace this season, and hopefully will continue to be as the season progresses.
Dave, another Canadian team who's a lot of noise surrounding them right now is the Vancouver Canucks. We don't even cover that team, and we're kind of getting tired of it. It's just every day it's something new with this squad regarding Elias Pettersson and JT Miller, and you have the injuries to Pettersson and Quinn Hughes. Sounds like they'll both be back very soon. But what's the latest you're hearing on this situation? One day it's like they're going to trade one, the next day is they're going to stand pat. Like, what is going on in Vancouver?
Yeah. The stress level's a little bit higher in Vancouver than in Edmonton. Look, this is what we all know. This is what I know. Vancouver will listen, continue to listen. They are listening. They have been listening for a few weeks. They're going to continue to listen because that's their job. It's part of the process, and that's what management has to do. Do they want to trade these guys? No, but it's gotten to a point where there's so much BS in the room because of this that it has to be straightened out one way or another. And they thought last season it had smoothed over as best it could. Look, they don't like each other, and that's fine. But can they tolerate each other? And it seemed like last year they could. Whatever happened at the start of this season and camp has boiled over, and it's at a point where it was a year or over a year ago. Can they fix that? Can they come to a common ground now? They haven't been able to, and it's frustrating the coach, it's frustrating the captain, it's frustrating other players. So it's the responsibility of the manager and the president now over in Vancouver to explore the options, the alternative options. Again, they don't want to trade these guys, and if they do trade anyone, I think it's one, not both.
Yeah.
But if they go in this direction, a trade of that magnitude, it's already got Blockbuster on it, regardless of which guy it is. But it's a tough deal to navigate when your window is open. And Vancouver feels their window is wide open, that they've got a solid base of their roster, a core of group that can compete for a Stanley Cup if they can add to it. So while all this is going on, they're also looking to add and improve their chances. It's no secret they want a top four defenseman. Even when Hronek comes back, they want to add to the blue line. And they'd also, in a perfect world, like to add a mid-six goal scorer to provide another offensive threat. They got to juggle the cap. They got a few other things they got to figure out. But that's what they're looking at while navigating discussions with other teams about either Petey or Miller. So it's a tough spot. We know Vancouver likes to get their work done early. I don't know. I'm not fully convinced, and it's not to say it's not impossible, and I'm not guaranteeing anything, but I'm not convinced they're overly eager to pull the trigger, at least right now. Maybe it's a summer move.
Okay.
If things can continue to keep going. And that's not, again, it's not to say they get an offer in the next 10 minutes and it just blows them out of the water and they're like, all right, well, we have to do this. But the likelihood as of now is it's more likely to occur if something does happen in the summer versus now, but not impossible.
David, let's face it, we don't need a crystal ball for this. The Edmonton Oilers are going to be playing the Los Angeles Kings in the first round of playoffs again here.
Right.
But when you look at this, I believe the timeline for Drew Doughty is pretty close here to coming back. Looking on the Edmonton Oilers side of things, Evander Kane, when he eventually comes back, two players that can be difference makers still. But you had mentioned Vancouver Canucks looking for that elusive top four defenseman. What would be in the LA Kings wish list to go up against the Oilers that might push them over the top? And we've been talking for a long time. I think Hernan and I both agree that it's probably similar to the Canucks. Top 4 defensemen, right shot preferably, would be in the Oilers wish list. But what do you think the Kings would be looking for coming down this final stretch?
Well, first of all, Drew's supposed to hit the ice and start practicing with the club, I think within a week or so, maybe 10 days. I think the timeline, it's on track. So he's going to start skating. I would imagine maybe he gets a few reps in before Four Nations, get a little bit of a break, and then go full steam ahead afterwards. In a perfect world, if they could add a bottom 6 center, probably a third line capable, but more likely to play on the fourth line center role, as a two-way type of guy, more defensive awareness, maybe a little bit of physicality. I think that's what they would love to add. They explored at the beginning of the season to try to get a gauge of the market at that point. Obviously, they didn't do anything, but certainly if Rob Blake and company can find the right piece, I think it's a center that they would prefer to add, a veteran guy with defensive responsibilities and a little bit of jam in his game in that bottom 6 role, most likely at the 4C position. Barring any other injuries or having to fill another need, that's likely what LA would like to do. They freed up a little bit of extra cap space. They've got a little bit of flexibility with Kaliev going to the Rangers. But again, perfect world. If they can add up the middle in especially their fourth line, I think that's what they'd like to chase.
Dave, it's funny, on the post-game show on Saturday, Gazzola and I were talking about the Montreal Canadiens, and we looked at the standings and was like, whoa, wait, they're only 2 points out. They had a hell of a road trip here. What's going on there in Montreal? This was supposed to be, and still is, to many, a rebuilding year, but they're right there. Like, what are they going to do if they're this close come the trade deadline? Because, they're playing some impressive hockey right now.
Yeah, well, this is what they anticipated, at least the positioning. This is where they anticipated being at the start of the season by the halfway point. They thought they would be a contender for a wild card spot, probably on the outside, but they thought they would start taking those next steps. Then Laine got hurt, and they had a couple other injuries. Jack-Eye was out a little bit. They didn't really have a full roster until Laine actually entered the equation, 13, 14, 15 games ago. Now that they've got a full group in place, we're starting to see what, at least to a certain level, what they're capable of. Goaltending's been better. They've been a lot more sound defensively, and the goal scoring is spread out. That said, they're still in this rebuild phase. Mm-hmm. So it's a nice stretch, and even if they're a month from now going into Four Nations or just out of it, still kind of within arm's reach of a wild card spot, I don't think they're gonna deviate from their plan. I think if the right offer comes for some of their pending UFAs, I think they seriously take a look at that. Jake Evans might be somebody more likely to stay, or at least they'll try to keep him. He's got a hell of a great contract. His production's he's on pace for over 50 points. It's a breakout year for him. He's going to command a bigger contract than many expected at the start of the season. So the Habs have to juggle that. But Armia, Dvorak, Savard, maybe even Mike Matheson, who has another year left on his contract. The other guys are on expiring deals. The right offers come across Kent Hughes' desk, their GM. I think they look at it. I don't think it's going to shift where their focus is, which is let the younger kids play, give more experience to guys like Hudson, Hermione, et cetera. Give some other guys an opportunity. You move out somebody on the back end. Mayu comes in, gets some more NHL experience. Maybe it's somebody else, and then go from there. And if they get pieces, if it's draft picks and more prospects, they could eventually couple those up, package them up, because they do have a pretty deep cupboard now, looking for immediate help that fits a long-term viewpoint, kind of like what they did bringing in Kirby Dach and Alex Newhook.
David, last week, Jonathan Toews said he still wants to play. Are you hearing any teams that are possibly investigating this further, or is this kind of just a hope of Jonathan Toews to play another year in the NHL?
Well, teams have certainly reached out, but what I've been told and talking to some people close to Toews, the focus seems to be more on next season versus now. Yes, he's skating. Yes, he's getting back into it and starting to train, or at least intensify that training. He doesn't want to rush anything. I think, with his agents over at Pat Brazon, everyone at CAA kind of advising him to just let's not get too ahead of ourselves. I think it's more realistic if he does come back to be next season versus over these next 2 months. Could that change? He may suddenly get a solid boost of energy and everything works out for him. Sure. But as of today, I'm led to believe it's more likely to occur next season if he does return than now. So whether it's, a team like Colorado or a team like Toronto or Winnipeg, the interest is there. His side knows it. If he's ready, they'll pursue it. Otherwise, again, I think it's more likely next season than now, but not out of the realm of possibility.
David, great stuff as always. Thank you for taking the time today to go around the NHL. Enjoy the week of hockey, and we'll chat soon.
Sounds good, boys. Thanks for having me.
It's David Pagnotta, editor-in-chief at the Fourth Period, also Sirius XM NHL, and a regular on Hello Hockey with Belzy and Tom Gazzola on Saturdays.
Good guy.
Always brings the good stuff, yeah.
Really good guy. Fun to hang out with.
I met him in right before I left for the Elks. I went to my last Oiler game, and I met him and Dennis Bernstein.
Oh, did you?
Couple of beauties, yeah, in the press box.
I met him at Tommy's apartment having beers. So that was really
nice.
good. Yeah.
Last year for the golf tournament?
Oh, and the golf tournament.
Yeah.
That was a special time.
Yeah, it was good times. Yeah, because they were here for the LA series. And
He's
good
great.
Dudes. Great stuff. All right, and hour 2, Zig Fracassi at 2:20 from Sirius XM NFL will join us as we'll go around the NFL on Black Monday for many coaches. And, of course, the playoff matchups are set. It's going to be a wild weekend. It's going to be fun. And we'll break it all down. There were some fun games last night, too, Gage. A lot of high-scoring games. It sucked that the Chiefs played all their backups, made it that much easier for Bo. And kudos to Bo Nix. They went out there and took care of business. And the Sunday night game was highly anticipated and didn't deliver. Kind of fell short. That's all coming up in hour 2. Who's your team? Is your team in the NFL playoffs? I'm jumping on a bandwagon. I want you two to pick a team as well because all our teams are out. Because you're a Niners fan now, right?
No.
What, the Bengals?
Jets. No,
Zach likes the Seahawks. I like the 49ers. So we all got to pick a bandwagon team.
I was the Bengals. I was hopeful, but after seeing that the roster that the Chiefs put out, I was like, oh, that's not happening.
No, it's just that's why all games are important. Week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and they started off slow. So
good to see Burrow though. Like
he's great.
He turned the season around from the start.
Yeah,
right. And because he was good, but he wasn't the Burrow we saw the last few weeks here.
He was awesome.
Oh
him
my
and
gosh.
Chase.
Yeah,
him
and Chase. Yeah.
Oh, man. Just amazing. All right, that's all coming up here on EST Afternoons. We're at 63 thumbs up, only 37 away, and we got an hour to go. We should hit 100, right? Right. All right, keep it coming on the Nasty Chat River Korean box at 780-218-9999. NFL Talk on the way here on EST Afternoons. We're back after the break.
Get to know the winners, props, plays, parlays, and more with Nielsen and Hustler. Weekday mornings at 11 on The Lock Shop. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
Celebrating 70 years in the signage industry, William Huff Advertising is the most recognized name in the game. An in-house, one-stop shop for all of your design, print, and installation needs. William Huff provides quality graphic solutions for everyone. Here in our City of Champions and throughout the nation, they are the preferred signage partner entrusted by many of the biggest corporations, pro sports teams, and organizations to bring their identity to life. Recognize the name, get in the game. WilliamHuff.com.
Looking for a winning strategy for your retirement? Contact me, Joaquin Gage at K4 Financial, where expertise meets dedication. I will always look for a careful approach to your retirement, ensuring your financial future is secure. From tailored strategies to clear, actionable advice, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Don't leave your future to chance. Get in touch with me, Joaquin Gage, today at k4financial.ca or email joaquin.gage@k4financial.ca to start planning for a brighter future and a more secure retirement.
Your home for live music and great performances is the River Cree Resort and Casino.
When I'm up, I can't get down, can't get down, can't
Don't miss Canadian singer-songwriter Alan Doyle as he brings the East to the West, January 17th.
I said, hey, it's just an ordinary day, and it's all your state of mind.
Get your tickets at River Cree Resort and Casino. River Cree Resort and Casino. Excitement, bet on it.
Four games fill out the NHL schedule, including the Canucks battling the Canadiens, while in New York, the Rangers have claimed Arthur Kaliyev off waivers from the Kings. Down south, head coach Doug Peterson has been fired by the Jags. Cincinnati lets go head coach Lou Anarumo, while the Seahawks have laid off Ryan Grubb as the team's offensive coordinator. Elsewhere, Christian Watson of the Packers has torn his ACL and is out for playoffs. And 9 games dot the NBA slate, seeing Toronto play Milwaukee and the Mavericks without Kyrie Irving 1 to 2 weeks as he sits out with a bulging disc in his back. EST Afternoons with Hernan Salas and Joaquin Gage continues right now. I'm Zachary Kubish, and you're up to date.
Welcome back. It's hour 2 of EST Afternoons. Joaquin Gage, Hernan Salas, Zach Kubish here. You'd like to connect with us on the good old X machine. It's at Hernan the Man, at Joaquin Gage 31, and at Zachary HMK. And of course, YEG Sports Talk. And on the IG, it's Edmonton Sports Talk. If you want to listen to us, iHeart, TuneIn Radios. You'd like to watch us, EST YouTube channel. Hit us up on the River Cree inbox, 780-218-9999, or on the Nasty Chat. And we're coming to you live from the William Huff Studios here in the west end of the city. Big shout out to David Pagnotta from the fourth period for joining us in the last segment to go around the NHL. In this segment, in this hour, Zig Fracassi from Sirius XM NFL will join us at 2:20. 68 thumbs up. Let's keep trekking in the right direction here. We had a hot first hour with the thumbs up. Let's continue that and hit 100. Rip City Step on the Nasty Chat says, if it makes you feel better, Hernan, the listeners will almost always be more than happy to blame Iwanek for anything. And then Delk Dad says, I miss what are we blaming Iwanek for? And I'm still on board for it. He's my safety line, man. I go to that man for a lot. He's probably so sick of me right now. And like I said, I've become that guy in the office. The old dumb guy. It's sad, Gager.
Oh no, you'll figure it out, man. I'm sure.
Thanks, Gager. I appreciate it. Oh, I appreciate that. I'm gonna be a Washington Commanders fan in the playoffs. Who you got?
Are you?
Yeah. I'm joining J Mill.
That's tough because there's 2 teams that I'd like to see have success.
Okay.
One, how are you not a Lions fan? Like they're a fun team to watch. Last night I thought it was going to be a pretty good game. Lions just destroyed them. And what was it? They had on the defensive side, they had a lot of guys out and they still dominated defensively. And Dan Campbell, he's a box of chocolates, man. You never know what you're going to get. And who would have thought that he would be going signaling field goal at certain points when he was fourth and in the red zone with 4th down. It's crazy. But
so you're taking the Lions?
No. I like Lamar, man. I just think
that's fair.
It's great because I don't know what's wrong with my algorithm right now, but there's this thing going along and it's Taylor Swift's song and then it shows Kelsey and she's singing a Taylor Swift song and then it goes to dark lights and coming up really slow. It's Iron Man from Black Sabbath playing, and it's Jackson coming out of the tunnel and all dark, just to ruin everything. They're gonna get 3 straight Super Bowls, and then you see a picture of Lamar. So I'd like to see Lamar win. I hate when talented players like him don't win a championship. So I think I'm going to go Ravens. I know it's kind of bandwagonish, but there's a reason for it.
No. Zach, get in here, buddy.
Well, this could be just for brownie points with the big man, Dusty, but I got to go with the Lions. I said the Lions were going to take it at the start of the year. I had a feeling, I don't know why. I think Dusty kind of brainwashed me into believing it, but they've shown it on the field. And like you said, man, they're just so exciting to watch. Like, you never know what you're going to see. And when the play happens, you're like, why are they doing that? And most times it seems to work out for the Crews. So, and they got nice jerseys. No, I'm kidding.
Cool helmets, too.
They
Night.
do.
I like those.
No, they're funny. You know what was funny about last night's game? Minnesota went full Dave Campbell.
I know.
Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
Going for it on fourth downs, passing up on field goal after field goal after field goal. And Dan Campbell was conservative, which was kind of weird to see.
Okay, like when I was watching that, I was like, okay, so Dan Campbell does all this stuff, and he's just reckless and fancy free. And do you think other coaches actually make decisions a little bit differently because they know
probably
they're playing against Campbell? Well, if Campbell's in this situation, he's going for 7. If he scores and I just go for the field goal, so do you think it affects other coaches by
100%?
Yeah, that it changes what they would do. Yeah, it makes maybe a more conservative coach to start being a lot more aggressive, because especially if he feels his defense can't get a stop when needed.
That's a good point, because it's like these guys are going to go for it on fourth down. We need to score touchdowns, not field goals. So it was interesting. And listen, it was one game. Sam Darnold was not good, but the heat he took on social media for that game is like, pump the brakes. He's been excellent for 16 out of the 17 games.
Talk about like MVP of
like, it's ridiculous. It's crazy. Also, 14-3, and you have to be, and you're not the division winner.
I know.
Right? You don't get that first round bye, which is absolutely amazing.
I love the fact that all these games came, like, they all had meaning, though. You know? That was great.
Great game was Falcons-Panthers. The Falcons had to win, and the Bucs had to lose for them to have a chance. Bucs won, so they're in. But the Falcons game, that was back and forth, overtime. I'll ask you this. Do you remember in the first 3 weeks of the NFL season, or 4 weeks, Bryce Young was benched? Thought it was over. Time to move on from the young quarterback. He looked awesome yesterday. He threw a touchdown pass, Gager. He threw it and turned around and went like this.
Oh, really?
That's how, he knew right away it was going for 6. I was like, that's all. Good for him, because at the start of the season, it looked like it might be over for him. It did. And listen, they're playing a lot of meaningless games towards the end, but he looked pretty damn good. And like I said, yesterday he showed some swagger. He went toe-to-toe with Penix Jr. there, and that was an awesome game, Gager. Unfortunately for the Falcons, again, they probably regretting sticking with Kirk Cousins for that long, because they needed one more win. That's it. Or 2, because the Bucs won.
But don't get me wrong, like, Kirk Cousins was on fire at the beginning. The first 3 games, they were rolling, weren't they?
I think they were. I think he had a couple of good. No, they started slow, then they got a little bit hot.
Okay.
But that's Kirk Cousins, man.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know, man.
Is he the MBT of the...
That's a good comparison.
Of the NFL?
Like, good enough to win you a few games. I mean, but MBT went to a Grey Cup and got hurt in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Right? So Chad Kelly ended up winning the game for them. But if I would compare him to anyone in the CFL, it's probably MBT.
Yeah.
Very similar.
Kind of, right?
Yeah. The Patriots fired Gerard Mayo right after the game, costing them the first overall pick, beating the Buffalo Bills. Patriots were like, "What are you doing?"
Well, maybe he knew they were, and it was just like, you know what? Screw you guys.
It's just funny how quick it came. It's not funny because someone lost their job,
No.
but it was interesting to see that. Jaguars today fired Doug Peterson. Jets, Saints, Bears also requesting a lot of interviews all over the league. The New York Giants are going to stand pat with their GM and head coach. Struddy somewhere's hair's on fire.
What's left of it?
Like, that blows my mind. But the owner did say, he goes, they better turn this around quick because I'm losing my patience. I'm like, I'm surprised you're giving them one more year.
I'm shocked at that.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. I mean, I guess, I don't know. There's something to keeping things status quo, but I don't think after a season you're just inviting a losing mentality back into your organization still.
And the Tennessee Titans get the first overall pick, Gager. Where will they go? Will they go quarterback?
I was listening to some experts, and they said the quarterback would be a bad idea.
Yeah, well, they might take the kid out of Colorado that can play wide receiver and DB, Travis Hunter, won the Heisman. Really good player. So, I mean, at least he'll sell tickets.
Yeah, there'll be some jerseys sold.
Do you know what I mean? Hey, did you ever play with Scott Ferguson?
Yep. We were
It's
roommates.
his birthday today.
Is it?
Yeah, 52 years old.
Fergie's a funny boy. He
Is he in Edmonton, do you know?
No, he's back in Kamloops. We actually roomed together. We had the same, because I was with Kamloops for a little bit. I hate to say that I was a Blazer because those guys are just all
Hey, you were from
jerks.
the factory, though.
Yeah. Well, I had to get sent there from, and then Fergie and I were roommates for a while. I think did he get sent back? He might have played that year. I don't know. I got cut after Rob Brown's dad cut me around October.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Scotty Ferguson. He was a warrior, number 32. And this is, like, I always remember he coming out of the penalty box, goes on a breakaway, and then just loses an edge and, like, trips and falls right into the goalie.
Fergie, like, it wasn't the highest skill level.
No.
And I remember he could barely shoot the puck, man. It was, I was like, are you kidding me with that, Ferg? And but he put in a lot of work to his game.
He made it, man.
And but he made it, like, if you stood in front of the net, like, if Fergie was in a game today, standing in front of the net with another guy, he would probably, I'm guessing, get 300 minutes in penalties for the amount of cross checks he'd give the guy. Because that's all he did. Is just hack and whack.
They always there's a vintage Oilers follow on the X machine, and I remember last year during the playoffs he put up when the Oilers would play Dallas in the 90s, and Boris Mironov, he could have took 10 slashing penalties on one play.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
it was crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Just like every slash in the worst areas, like wrists, just behind the knee, like trying to completely injure the other players. It was awesome.
So these are your playoff matchups this weekend coming up. The Chargers take on the Texans. The Steelers will go to Baltimore. That's Gager's bandwagon team for these playoffs. That's on Saturday. On Sunday, the Broncos at Bills. I got to say this. Broncos uniforms yesterday, awesome.
Yeah.
Like the old school.
Yeah,
They got to stick with that look. Packers will go to Philadelphia and face the Eagles. The Commanders will take on the Buccaneers. And on Monday, it's the Vikings and L.A. Rams. So it's going to be a full sked on the weekend. It's going to be very, very fun to watch the games.
Which one is your number one game?
That's a good question, actually.
To me, it's
I might go Texans Chargers.
Really?
Yeah. C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, no, I was thinking Buffalo Denver. I don't know why.
That might be a good one.
It might be a good one.
Young Buck,
yeah.
Josh Allen, potential MVP. I mean, I think all the games have a little intrigue. Like, I want to see Lamar. You know, Pittsburgh's always game against them. I mean, Jaden Daniels, you want to see him in playoff action. And then to see if the LA Rams can surprise the Vikings.
I have a weird feeling about this Rams team, man. For what they went through the beginning, losing
their receivers.
The receivers, but who was their was it Darnold? Who was their big guy that retired? Donald.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a massive loss. And how they came back this year.
McVay's a hell of a coach, man.
Yeah.
Pizza Go says, wow, stop attacking Struds. Guy doesn't even know how to use a computer to defend himself. He does. Struddy's a smart guy.
What did I say?
Because I said his hair is probably on fire, and you said, what's left of it?
Oh, wow.
We got to get
I can say the follically challenged stick together. It's fine.
We got to get him on the show again.
I think he was on the slopes during the break there.
Oh, yeah, good for him.
Referred to himself, I think, as Alberta Tomba. La Bamba.
And, of course, the Edmonton Oilers return to action. They're on a 3-game win streak. They take on the Bruins, who I think have lost their last, let's see here. 4, I think.
4.
Yeah, their last 4 games, that's not good for Edmonton, but these games are always fun. This is what the Oilers rolled out at practice in Boston today. RNH with McDavid and Brown, Podkolzin, Draisaitl, Arvidsson. Skinner gets the bump up with Adam Enrique and Zachary Hyman. Corey Perry returns to the lineup, and he will be with Janmark and Kapanen, which means Derek Ryan is out. Expect Stuart Skinner to get the start, and the defense, the pairings remain the same. Bouchard with Eck, Nurse with Stetch, Kulak with good old Ty Emberson.
This game, it's funny. I think this is going to be the easiest game that the Oilers play.
Really?
I don't know. Did you? I watched the.
I think Zig's a Boston guy. Eh?
Is he?
Yeah.
I just watching the Leafs Bruins game. It was Bruins couldn't. They were leaky, man. They were very leaky.
They lost in OT yesterday.
Matthew Nyes had a great game. He's a good player, man.
You've been on Matthew Nyes for a while.
Yeah. I mean, there's something there with that guy. He's a whale of a player. I'd be watching if I was the Leafs. Man, I mean, they got a couple guys up for contracts and stuff. He falls because I believe he's a restricted free agent this year. I mean, from what we saw with offer sheets and teams, cap possibly going up. If I was a team, I'd be looking at him as offer sheet possibilities because he's going to be a really good player.
Yeah, we need more offer sheets in the NHL.
Oh, they're great.
The Oilers just got screwed this year, but
well,
maybe it's payback for all those years back when they got Dustin Penner and everybody was up in everybody was so upset.
I know it's so weird
because you can do it. It's allowed.
It's
why do people get so upset about it?
Well, especially. It's dumb. You'd love to see more of it because then look at the fan base. They went crazy.
Oh, when Holloway and Broberg got offer sheet, you were working with Dusty. I wasn't working here yet, and I tuned in, and people lost their minds.
Oh, it was crazy, man. It was absolutely. And then you get the best part of it is you get the games all of a sudden. These guys are just saying, you give me money? Sure, I'll sign that. What anyone would do. But every time Broberg and Holloway are touching the puck now, it's boo. It creates way more rivalries almost than a playoff series against the team. Like the two teams that a lot of Oilers fans probably hate most. You could throw Vegas in there too a little bit, but are Vancouver. But the second one, you probably hate St. Louis too.
You do. So we'll see what happens in the offseason for sure. But offer sheets, we're game for them. I'm totally on board. That's probably the most watched show of the summer, Gager, when they announced that offer sheet, man. I just remember your face when you saw what the money was. It was just hilarious because I was with the Elks and I'm watching you guys and I'm like, holy smokes, did this really happen?
It's great.
And Dusty's trying to confirm it and all. It was a great show. But yeah, offer sheets are always fun, and the Oilers have been on both sides of it. They won one and lost one. Actually, they lost the Thomas Vanek one, remember? And then they got Dustin Penner.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they lost Holloway and Broberg this summer. All right, 76 thumbs up or 24 away. Come on, let's go. We got about 42 minutes here left. And, of course, at 3 o'clock, it'll be the Reed Wilkins Show with Jay Milne up until 6. And tomorrow from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., we have a full day of broadcasting, and the Oil Stream pregame show will be mixed in there at 4 o'clock with these early games out east. But up next, we're going to talk NFL with our buddy Zig Fracassi from Sirius XM NFL, and we'll probably we'll ask him about the Bruins as well. I'm pretty sure he's a Boston guy, so we'll have a good chat with Zig. That's coming up here on EST Afternoons. It's Joaquin, Gage, Hernan Salas. But first up, here is Zach Kubish with a sports update.
The Capitals and Sabres kick off the night in the NHL with 4 games on tap, and Vancouver captain Quinn Hughes is a game-time decision for their game against the Canadiens. In the NFL, Lou Anarumo has been fired by the Bengals. The Seahawks have let go offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb, while Doug Peterson has been relieved of his head coaching duties with the Jags. And basketball has 9 games with the Raptors battling the Bucks, while Kyrie Irving of the Mavericks is out 1 to 2 weeks due to a bulging disc in his back, with Dallas in action tonight against the Grizzlies. This sports update is brought to you by Gimme Virtual Golf. Whether you're looking for a casual round or a serious game, Gimme Virtual Golf has membership and flex passes to fit your style. With premium members getting complimentary winter bag storage, plus Gimme Virtual Golf is giving away 2 free hours of golf every week. Gimme Virtual Golf, where innovation meets the game. Find out more at GimmeVirtualGolf.ca. Zig Fracassi on the other side of the break here on EST Afternoons. I'm Zachary Kubish, and you're up to date.
Get all the latest news and takes on everything Oilers with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola on the Oil Stream. Live at noon, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
Hockey lives at the Canadian Brew House. Every Oilers game day, get $1 off tankards of Molson Canadian and Coors Light. Plus, you can win game tickets and a surf and turf dinner for 2 at the end of the season. Full details at thecanadianbrewhouse.com.
Your brand deserves more than just a whisper, it deserves a buzz. At the Hive Product Marketing, they specialize in promotional products that bring the buzz. From eye-catching giveaways to unforgettable keepsakes, they got the perfect products to make your brand stand out and get noticed. Visit the Hive Product Marketing and let them create the buzz your business deserves. The Hive Product Marketing, the official merch partner of Edmonton Sports Talk. Visit them online at thehiveproductmarketing.com.
In life, it takes a village. From childhood to your golden years, we all need support. At Capital Care Foundation, we've built that village for our 2,100 seniors. Join us in creating a nurturing environment that feels like home and fosters community connections. Your donation makes a difference. Visit capitalcarefoundation.net today and become a vital part of our village. Because together, we can make every stage of life a shared journey. Be a part of the journey. Support Capital Care Foundation.
Welcome back to EST Afternoons. It's Edmonton Sports Talk. Joaquin, Gage, Hernan Salas, Zach Kubish with you here as lots of NFL to get to, and to do that, we'll be joined by Zig Fracassi from Sirius XM NFL. Probably throw him a Bruins question or two as well to wrap up the interview. But Zig, my man, how's it going? Busy day for you?
Works better when I unmute the mic. So that works well. Hey, guys, doing very well. It's, of course, Black Monday around the National Football League, and unfortunately, some good people lose their gigs. And, you know, in Jacksonville, it's not a surprise. What is it, 5-18 over the last year plus for the Jaguars? Anarumo being let go as Bengals defensive coordinator. I'm going to be real interested to see if somebody picks him up, simply because they improved towards the end of this year, and he never had A-list defenders around. I think he would be an outstanding hire for somebody. Dolphins, Giants, they're going to be keeping their coaches. I guess I'm not surprised by that. So those are the things that kind of stick out.
Zig, let's stay with the New York Giants. I think we were a little surprised when they made the announcement today that they're kind of standing pat with their GM and head coach, but did say that things need to change quickly as he's losing his patience. Are you surprised they're keeping these two gentlemen?
In a way, I'm not. Even though, you know, they whiffed on the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
We all saw, too, on Hard Knocks off season that the owner was really, you know, I guess he still hasn't gotten to sleep because Barkley's an MVP candidate, for goodness sakes. But I think this is one of these things where Mr. Mara is going to be like, all right, this has got to be it. Because let's not forget, with this same tandem, they got to the playoffs. So, you know, I think they were ravaged by injuries. But again, you miss on the quarterback. They're going to have to get that right. There is some talent there, and the defensive components are there. So if they obviously got to hit the quarterback, and you know the offensive line's been a bit of a wreck the last couple of years. They got to fix that too. So it gets to a point, guys. You wonder at the same time, do we get tired of like replacing the coach and the GM? Maybe it's incumbent that, you know, they're responsible to bring better players in. Absolutely. So they got to do that. But also, a little bit of luck, a little bit of fortune their way too, because they have been ravaged by injuries. But long answer to your question, maybe I'm not so surprised that Shane and Dayball were retained by the Giants.
Mike McCarthy it was interesting to me all year now, and rumors have it that the Bears are asking for permission to speak with him, but then you have Jones saying, I'm happy with what he's done. What's going on in Dallas there? Could Mike McCarthy actually be coaching the Chicago Bears next year, or is he going to stay in Dallas, or is he going to be looking for somewhere else to coach?
Well, that's a very good question, Joaquin. I would say that at this point, it wouldn't surprise me if Mike McCarthy did move on, because if Jera really wanted McCarthy back, wouldn't he have given him a contract by now? So I think Mike's going to pursue some options. I think under the circumstances, he was dealt a bad hand, obviously, with injuries to some key defenders. Of course, Dak going out for the balance of the season. But Jera did not give this roster any upgrades at all. And then yesterday, he claimed he didn't know about Cooper Rush. I mean, how convenient is that the guy is due a big roster bonus, yet he got benched, and he claimed he didn't know about this. So it's just if you've been a Cowboys fan, I was for a long time, but I got off the train because it's just a clown show. They don't care about winning anymore. The franchise is worth $10 billion. He already has more capital coming in with legends, the hospitality, so they can live off the rest of their lives. But for Mike McCarthy, again, he's one of these coaches. Yeah, he's won a Super Bowl, but I think that was more Aaron Rodgers and Charles Woodson than anything else. He's a guy that only gets you so far. Do the Cowboys actually go, the fresh, innovative coordinator route? Would they actually bump up Mike Zimmer, who had been the head coach of the Vikings? Would they bump him up to head coach? So there's going to be a lot of drama in Big D going forward.
Zig Fracassi from Sirius XM NFL joining us here on EST Afternoons. Zig, right now 5 teams looking for a head coach: Patriots, Jaguars, Jets, Saints, Bears. If I miss one, I apologize. But of these 5 teams, where's the most pressure to get it right with this hire? I mean, I'd look towards the Jets, but what do you say, Zig? Which team here has the most pressure to get the hiring right?
I would probably agree with that, Hernan. I mean, let's look at it. This is the top media market in the United States. This is a franchise that obviously hasn't done anything sans a couple of championship games, since Super Bowl III. I just talked about Jerry Jones maybe not being the most committed owner. It seems like Woody Johnson's right up that alley too. You wonder, I mean, is his son, playing video games? Is he making decisions? I mean, that was all the narrative coming out on that. So it'll be interesting to see if anybody really wants this job. I mean, if it says, and I don't know if this is just ESPN hype or what it is, but if they're serious about like bringing Rex Ryan back, I mean, the guy's been out of the game for a few years now. I mean, to me, that's not a fresh hire. I would definitely look at, a guy that maybe Mike McCarthy does wind up with the Jets, for example. I'll say this, and maybe I'm a little biased because I've worked with him at Sirius XM, but Phil Savage is one of the sharpest football minds I've ever come across. Longtime Alabama broadcaster, was thrust into I thought, a no-win situation as interim GM. If he's allowed to run the operation, I would totally endorse that. And also, again, he's a friend and colleague of mine, so I would endorse that. But at the same time, the other, the other jobs you mentioned, it seems like Vrabel is going to wind up going to New England. And by the way, Gerard Mayo is a class act, was a great linebacker, was a good defensive coordinator, and even Robert Kraft owned it. This mess is on him. He did not give Mayo, the best roster. And yes, the guy is going to make mistakes. He's a first-time head coach. Jaguars, that's an interesting one because Shad Khan's willing to spend money, but you got to get somebody to work with Trent Baalke. I don't know if that's going to be the easiest process. And in New Orleans, I thought Rizzi did a decent job under the circumstances, but there's a franchise with Mickey Loomis, who's been there for a long time, but they are going to be in massive salary cap hell because they keep kicking the cap down. You know, they did a ton of restructures and all this kind of thing. At some point, guys, they're going to have to repay that credit card. I don't know if anybody is going to want that mess down there in New Orleans. And then with Chicago, the thing is, I could see like a Ben Johnson working there. Can you imagine what he would do with Caleb Williams, because he's so innovative, and at the same time, you know, you might weaken your rival with Detroit by hiring the coach there, the great mind from the Lions. So, but Chicago always seems like they're an organization that doesn't like to spend the money on the coaches. And you got to get somebody, obviously, because the GM, Poles, is staying there. Who's going to work with him? So I would probably say the Jets maybe are the ones that to get it right. Although a close second or 1A might be Chicago, simply because you have a top overall pick to work with Caleb Williams. Somebody's got to be in there and get it right.
Zig, I don't know if it was because I'm a former hockey player, and I've always thought that a team that faces adversity throughout the regular season is better suited to come playoff time. NFL's a little bit different beast, but looking at the Rams from what they had to go through at the beginning of the season, losing Cup, losing Nakua, like I remember watching that first game and going, "Oh my gosh, this season's a disaster. This
right?
This isn't going to work for them." But now you see where they're at. Do you consider them to be one of the favorites going into this playoff season just because of what they had to go through to get there, and now that they're finally actually healthy?
Well, remember, they went through this last year. You know, they were like 3-6 at one point, and then they got hot, and obviously, you know, won. And I thought a hell of a playoff game against Detroit where they came up a little bit short. And then this year, you know, not only are you replacing arguably the greatest defensive lineman in all time in Aaron Donald, but you mentioned with the injuries to Kupp and to Puka and everything like that, yet they stayed above board. I thought this was one of Matthew Stafford's best seasons. Kyron Williams has really turned out to be a really good fifth-round pick, a productive back out of Notre Dame. They did lose Corum, the rookie back from Michigan, so I think that's going to be a dent. I heard you guys before I came on the show today. You were discussing which opening round playoff game is the most intriguing.
Yeah.
To me, it's not even close. It's the Vikings and the Rams, simply because the Rams look like that proverbial you don't want to play them type of team right now. And oh, by the way, O'Connell against, you know, Sean McVay, maybe the two most innovative minds in the NFL. Sign me up for that every day. So I love that matchup.
Zig, I remember we had you on our first show ever, and we asked you about the rookie quarterbacks, and we're going to have two in these playoffs, in Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix. How do you see these two quarterbacks faring in their first taste of NFL playoff action?
Tell you what, Jaden Daniels doesn't seem to be fazed by anything. I mean, it's really amazing. I mean, he was getting hit by like a Pagnotta yesterday against the Cowboys, but he just kept, you know, chucking the ball up there and all that. And I know Mike Denbrock's a friend of mine, the offensive coordinator at Notre Dame. Well, he was at LSU, and he said, Zig, this guy is off the charts. First in, last out. He knew he was going to be a very special player in the National Football League, and I think they got a legit chance to beat Tampa. I didn't like what I saw at all yesterday against the Saints. I mean, they were lucky they came back and won that game. I can see the Commanders pulling that one off. And then you've got Knicks. Wow, that one's going to be a little bit rougher, although, you know, when you're going up against Buffalo, Josh Allen, Bills Mafia and everything like that, my old stomping grounds, by the way, a lot is expected of the Bills this playoff season. They had one of those years where everybody ate, and I think it was clear that they had the great harmony going. Although I'll tell you this, the Broncos got in the playoffs, good defense. Knicks has been playing pretty well. I think they hang around in that game, but I think in the end, Buffalo probably gets it done at Highmark Stadium.
There's always a saying here, you know, to be considered one of the greats, you have to win the big one. And Lamar Jackson's been knocking at the door for a little bit here. Is this the year that Baltimore gets back to a Super Bowl and Lamar Jackson finally gets his dues?
Well, I don't know about that, simply because they had their golden chance last year. They had home field throughout, yet they couldn't solve that 15 guy in Kansas City. And Santa there and Andy Reid, and I say that with all due respect. This year was kind of a tricky year in some spots for the Ravens. Like most of the year, their defense had some major issues. It seemed like they got that a bit more resolved towards the end of the year last year, or this year, I should say. That's going to be an interesting matchup. Pittsburgh, third time in the year, of course, longtime rivals. So I would think Baltimore gets by that. But, man, until somebody knocks off Kansas City, I just don't know if I see that happening. Justice Hill being hurt, that hurts their ground game a little bit as far as I'm concerned. And I think Lamar's absolutely had a phenomenal year. I mean, what is it? When you've got a 10-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, that is ungodly, for goodness sake. So he's going to be up there, I think, for the MVP. But again, the playoffs are a different story. And until somebody solves the Mahomes, Kelsey, Kansas City thing, I just don't see it happening.
Zig, one last one for you here. The Edmonton Oilers are in Boston to take on the Bruins. I know you're a Boston guy. Yeah, I know you're a Boston guy. What's going on with the Bruins? They've dropped 4 straight here. Joaquin said he watched the game on Saturday. They didn't looked a little leaky, and last night as well they dropped 1 to the Islanders. What's going on there with the Boston hockey team?
Yeah, it's not very good right now. I'm stating the obvious, but I think. Well, and I know people in that organization, and the one word that I kept hearing was disjointed. Mm-hmm. And I heard this from a couple of different sources as to why things didn't start out well. Even in training camp, you have to wonder if the Swayman thing is a residual that still kind of hangs over this team. Obviously, trading Ullmark was maybe not a popular move, but I think it was one that was necessitated because they're not going to keep, $14-15 million at the goaltending position. So they had to do that. There's been some injuries. I think Pasternak's playing through something, even though he's picked up his goal game lately. I think there's something lingering going on with him. Lindholm is finally starting to look like a pretty decent center. Zadorov has been a little bit inconsistent. The defense, which has always been a hallmark, has been leaky. And granted, I think they miss Hampus Lindholm quite a bit. He's been out, I think, near 20 games now. So you wonder if he's coming back. And the bottom 6, I mean, Kastelik's been a great addition when they had him and Koepke and also Johnny Beecher together. That may have been their best line. But lack of scoring, lack of a true number 1 setter. And quite honestly, guys, I think they're at the point now after sustained runs that seen them go to 3 Stanley Cup finals, a championship, couple of President's trophies, sustained excellence. Maybe they're at the point now where a significant remodel, I'm not quite to say rebuild just yet, because you looked at what Washington did. Yeah. It looked like they was going through the rebuild, but then they trade for Chychrun. You signed Thompson, and all of a sudden, Ovi looks like he's 25 years old again. So maybe that's something, guys, that Boston could consider, making that kind of thing and sort of, I guess, remodel on the fly. But this is not your vintage Bruins team by any stretch.
Yeah, it should be a fun one. Oilers on a 3-game win streak.
Always a good matchup.
Yep. Yeah. Look out for Leon Draisaitl. He's an absolute heater right now. Yeah, he is. He's pretty
97, good. I hear, is good too.
He's okay.
He's been okay.
Yeah, he's all right.
He's been all right. Zig, great stuff as always. Happy New Year. All the best in 2025, and I'm sure we'll be chatting soon. All the best, Zig.
Hernan and Joaquin, always great to be with you guys. Thanks for having me.
That's Zig Fracassi from Sirius XM NFL. Always brings the good stuff there. Even got a little bit of hockey talk in there.
He's good, hey?
Yeah, he's great. He was was he our first?
Yeah,
second?
I think so.
He was on our first show, him and Aaron Grimes.
Yeah.
So good
times.
That
was awesome.
Good times. Hit us up on the River Cree inbox, 780-218-9999. The afternoon inbox is presented by the River Cree Resort and Casino, home of the Kitchen Restaurant, all-you-can-eat surf and turf for just $59.99 every Friday from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. All right, Gager, coming up next, we'll wrap up the show. Get you ready for the Reed Wilkins Show as you'll be joined, like always, by J Mill. We're at 80 thumbs up. Let's get to 100. We need 20 in 20 minutes. Can it be done?
Yes.
All right. We're back after the break, but first up, Zach with your sports update.
On a 4-game NHL slate, Vancouver captain Quinn Hughes is a game-time decision against the Canadiens, while the Rangers have claimed Arthur Kaliev off waivers from the Kings. In the NFL, the Bengals have released defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo, and head coach Doug Peterson has been fired by the Jaguars, while the Seahawks have parted ways with offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb. And basketball has the Raps and Bucks throwing it down, seeing 9 games in the association. Elsewhere, Kyrie Irving is out 1 to 2 weeks, suffering a bulge disc in his back, with the Mavs in action tonight against the Grizzlies. You're locked and loaded here on EST Afternoons. We return after the break. I'm Zachary Kubish, and you're up to date.
Your home for live music and great performances is the River Cree Resort and Casino.
When I'm up, I can't get down, can't get down, can't get level.
Don't miss Canadian singer-songwriter Alan Doyle as he brings the East to the West, January 17th.
I said, hey, it's just an ordinary day, and it's on your state of mind.
Get your tickets at River Cree Resort and Casino. River Cree Resort and Casino. Excitement, bet on it.
Celebrating 70 years in the signage industry, William Huff Advertising is the most recognized name in the game. An in-house, one-stop shop for all of your design, print, and installation needs. William Huff provides quality graphic solutions for everyone. Here in our City of Champions and throughout the nation, they are the preferred signage partner entrusted by many of the biggest corporations, pro sports teams, and organizations to bring their identity to life. Recognize the name, get in the game. WilliamHuff.com.
You want the heavy hitters on your team, both on and off the ice. If you've been injured in a car accident, call the heavy hitters of injury law. James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers. With over 200 years of combined injury law experience, their precedent-setting lawyers are ready to help. Locally owned and proud Edmonton Oilers fans, James H. Brown and Associates wants to support you with their unrivaled experience, unrivaled results, and unrivaled commitment. When accidents happen, head to jameshbrown.com.
Make a fresh start in the new year with Sentinel Storage. With convenient locations near you, Sentinel Storage is here to help you make space for everything 2024 holds. Sentinel Storage. Shop Canadian, store Canadian. Try 4 weeks free. Visit sentinelstorage.ca.
Welcome back to EST Afternoons. Final segment. Joaquin, Gage, Hernan Salas, Zach Kubish in the house. 83 thumbs up. Come on, we had such a good start, Gage, in that first hour. It's really dipped in the second. It's kind of like an Oilers game. You know? It dips in the third and to make it close, but they still win. So I believe in you, Nasties. I believe we can get to 100 thumbs up by the end of the show in about 11 minutes. Chief Andy says, when did John Leguizamo start hosting with Gage? You know what? If you think that's insulting, it's not. Because I think John Leguizamo's awesome.
He's great, especially
Benny Blanco from the Bronx.
Benny Blanco, but the mechanic in John Wick is great.
Oh,
it's just subtle. And then he slapped what's his name's son.
He's been in a lot of good movies,
dude. So many.
Yeah, he's a hell of an actor. Really like him. If you've seen Carlito's Way, you know who Benny Blanco from the Bronx is. Of course, the Edmonton Oilers in action tomorrow. I'll give you a little bit of a schedule. So Reed will jump on with Jay from 3 to 4. Then it'll be Tom Gazzola, myself, Sean Bell, and Zach Kubish from 4 to 5. And then Reed Wilkins and Jay Mellon will come back for the final hour while the Oilers play in the first period there. Oilers on a 3-game win streak. Boston on a 4-game losing streak. Top 2 lines remain the same. A big change in the bottom 6. Skinner moved up to the 3rd line with Enrique and Hyman. And then Perry draws back in with Janmark and Kapanen. And expects Stuart Skinner to start. And the D pairings remain the same. Gager. There's a couple of games tonight. Washington at Buffalo. Vancouver at Montreal. I think that's a prime game. Florida takes on the Colorado Avalanche, probably the game of the night. And the New Jersey Devils take on the Kraken. Do you think something gives in Vancouver with one of these two superstars? I just don't think it's an in-season thing. I think they move on from one of them. In the off season.
Yeah, no, David Pagnotta said he would be surprised if something happens in season. It would be more off season.
Yeah.
I think they're willing to try to let this go. I've been looking at things said today and and I think most of the players are winning cures a lot of things too.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden the narrative changes if you start winning. So that's probably going to be the focus. But saying that, if they go on a skid, start losing some games, that's the first thing people are going to look at is the issue with the team is they all can't get along. And that's stuff because everyone we've talked to has said there is an issue there. They don't like each other.
Stop hiding it.
Yeah, they don't like each other. Yeah,
everybody knows it. And it seems like JT's the bully.
I don't.
Elias
I know, but I
Patterson.
don't know who was on a podcast or something, but he was saying it.
It was Brad. I think Brad Richards.
Brad Richards. Yeah, he was saying he was going.
There is a problem.
Yeah. JT, you got to stop.
Yeah, he even told JT.
He told JT to stop, yelling at this kid. You know, and whatever.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah, but you gotta figure this out, especially with the window that the Canucks think they're in. But it does give, I hate to say it, but it gives them an excuse. You know, at the end of the year, if things don't work out for them, well, we tried to see if they can work it out. They can't. We got to switch things up. We realize this can't work. So
much hope going into the season, high expectations. I mean, they can still turn it around.
I blame Vinny Desharnais.
I guess he was on the power play the other day, and people
Was he?
were losing their minds. Him
no.
and Forbert, because
Hronik's
Quinn Hughes is all like, who else are you going to play?
There? Yeah.
Portions of this hour brought to you by the Canadian Brew House. The Canadian Ice House is taking your sports experience to a higher level of ultra cool TrackMan golf simulators are now open at the Ice House. An immersive and realistic golfing experience in the heart of downtown Edmonton. Visit the Canadian icehouse.com.
Bones is into the River Cree inbox, 780-218-9999. He says, what percentage of an NHL team doesn't get along with guys, Gager?
Good question.
It is, but it's funny because it's such a small microcosm of a company, right? So there's only 20 some guys that are playing, and you have trainers and things like that. But I haven't been on a lot of teams where two guys really hated each other. A lot of times it was two players that were battling for point leads.
Yeah.
And sometimes you want that because it creates competition. Like we had two centers and they are on different power plays, and there was always the fight for cookie time, as they say. But it never got to the point where you thought that they really hated each other. And then sometimes, like with anything, I'm sure in whatever profession you're in. I mean, we have Zach here. He complains all the time and stuff. But it's for Zach, he gets brought into the happiness all the time. So it's hard for him to be that dark cloud coming to work every day. Right, Zach?
Put your mic on.
I hate you guys.
I'm just kidding.
I know.
Zach's sunshine when I come in here. But, this is probably the only place in the world where there's too much love.
Everybody love everybody. Like,
but no, it's very rare. I've heard of circumstances where guys do not like one another, but I've never been part of it.
Yeah, like with the Elks,
very small percentage.
With the Elks, like it's
a lot more players though.
Yeah, bigger rosters, but there was always like groups. Like you see, but I guess I wouldn't know because I'm not with the team every moment, right? But like, I'm sure there's players that dislike one or other guy, but like it's never known. Like you're never like there's never a riff in the room or.
I think it would be harder in football than hockey because there's more designated positions. Like one's defense, one's offense. So if the offense isn't performing well and the defense is performing well, you're like, guys, come on.
And they compete at practice.
Yeah. So there's that's. It was always fascinating, professional football to me, how that relationship goes. Because in hockey, I mean, I guess you could say the goalies are just solely defense. We're not really goalies have scored, I guess, but we're not on the power play quarterbacking it. But no, it's
because in like rooms, like the O-line sit together, receivers sit together.
Yeah,
so the offense is on one side of the room, defense is on the other. And then in the middle, it's like veterans and quarterbacks and special teams, like your kickers and punters.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty cool setup. It's just because the offense is always together, right? Yeah. So that's why they do it that way. And then O-linemen all sit together, and so it's almost like you hang out with your position groups, right? It's definitely an interesting dynamic. But yeah, I think football would be a little bit more different because there's so much more players.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of time you don't know a guy that well either because. No. Like in 2022, like Chris Jones brought in over 100 players. So it was just like that. It was like that gif of Grandpa Simpson.
I mean, that happens in the American League. Like if you at the end of the season go on to like the American Hockey League roster pages, and you'll wear out your mouse like wheel going down and looking at the all because it's just a revolving door. But even then, it's even when I had lots of turnover on teams, we always seemed to get along. But I was good in the room.
Yeah. You seem like a glue guy, like a room guy, guy that keeps everybody loose. Keeps them, like always joking around.
But it's only when you feel comfortable. Like when you go into a new team or whatever, you're like that little shy kid coming into school. You want to feel things out, and then someone says something silly, and then you say something funny, and goes, "Oh my gosh, this guy's kind of funny."
Breaking news on the Nasty Chat. It seems Jasmine, who's part of the Hangout crew,
who
is a Vancouver Canucks fan.
Oh
yeah. Does that surprise you?
No.
It's finally out. Jasmine is a Vancouver Canucks fan.
Oh, that's. I mean, I can't blame her. I grew up in the.
You grew up in Vancouver.
I loved the Canucks, man. They were
I
my
love
team.
the Bury Canucks, which is weird.
It's awesome.
Because I was diehard Oilers growing up, but I loved Pavel Bury.
I hated the Oilers.
Yeah, really?
Oh, my gosh. I despised them.
And when they played the Rangers in '94, I wanted Vancouver to win. You know why? Because all the ex-Oilers were on the Rangers. And I was like, screw those guys.
Yeah, that was sad when they lost, man. But because I was drafted by Edmonton at that point, I think.
94?
Yeah, I was.
That was a hell of a finals, man.
It's great. It was so good. Goaltending out of sight. The Moose coming off his guaranteed win.
Against the
Pavel
Devils.
Scored that ridiculous goal on feed from Jeff Brown, blue line to blue line, in on the breakaway, and puts Vernon in the first row and tucks it home and just throws everything off. That was so awesome.
Pavel was. I wish for like young guys like Koob and Trev could have watched him play live. He was unreal, man.
I think we should do that someday. Is just 5 players, and I mean it's so hard because you could go on forever. But 5 players you'd like to see play in today's game, now, aside from Gretzky and Lemieux,
outside of the elite of the elites of the elites. But in this day and age,
imagine Pavel with McDavid. Like it would seriously be such a joke.
Yeah,
because when Pavel came, no one could. Yeah, I mean that would be similar. Pavel was kind of like McKinnon, I would guess. The closest to today's would be McKinnon.
That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. 91 thumbs up. We're 9 away. We got about a minute left before Reed Wilkins comes up with Jay Milne here. They'll take you home from 3 to 6, and then we're back tomorrow at 6 a.m. with the big guy, Dusty, and the absolute beauty of Lieutenant Eric and our another young producer, good old YouTube Travis. We're back to a full roster here as we kick off 2025. Oilers in action tomorrow, 5 o'clock local time as they take on the Boston Bruins. They'll go for their 4th straight win. And Leon Draisaitl looks to keep his point streak alive at 15 games. Will he do it? I say yes. Big shout out to Dave Pagnotta from the 4th period and Zig Fracassi from Sirius XM NFL for joining us here. And just a reminder, the afternoon inbox is presented by the River Cree Resort and Casino. Canadian musician Alan Doyle and comedian Ben Bank is coming to the River Cree in January. For details on tickets, visit www.rivercreeresort.com. For Joaquin, Gage, and Zach Kubish, I'm John Leguizamo saying have a good rest of your Monday. We'll chat tomorrow.